I never believed something as simple as a jar of bubbling vegetables could completely change the way my body felt. But that's exactly what happened. For years, I lived with what I thought were small inconveniences, constant bloating, brain fog after meals, and that heavy, sluggish feeling that seemed to follow me no matter how healthy I ate. Then, one day, a nutritionist told me something strange. Your gut is like a garden. It's not about what you feed it, it's about what lives inside it. That single sentence sent me down a rabbit hole I never expected. I discovered an entire world of living foods, ferments, that people around the world have used for thousands of years to keep their bodies strong and their minds clear. Yogurt in the Middle East. Kimchi in Korea. Miso in Japan. Sauerkraut in Germany. Everywhere you look, there's a culture that literally lives on cultures. And yet, somehow, in our modern, sterile, refrigerated lives, we've killed most of them. Pasteurized, sterilized, shelf-stable foods have made life easier, but at a hidden cost. We're slowly starving the trillions of microbes that keep our guts alive. So I decided to do something radical. I started fermenting at home. And in this video, I'll share the top 10 gut-healing ferments you can make right now in your own kitchen. But fair warning, when we reach number 3, you'll understand why some scientists actually avoid it. Let's begin with the easiest one, the gateway ferment. The first one is homemade yogurt. It's ancient, it's simple, and it's one of the most beginner-friendly ways to start. All you need is milk and a starter culture, basically, a spoonful of another yogurt that already has live bacteria. Warm the milk, stir in the starter, keep it cozy overnight, and you'll wake up with a jar full of life. Yogurt works because it's rich in Lactobacillus bulgaricus and Streptococcus thermophilus, the friendly bacteria that convert lactose into lactic acid. That acid not only thickens the milk, it also makes it easier to digest for people who are lactose intolerant. The first spoonful feels smooth, slightly tangy, and somehow alive. For me, it was the first time I realized food could have its own heartbeat. The second is kefir, often called yogurt's wilder cousin. Where yogurt has a few bacteria, kefir is an entire ecosystem. Made using kefir grains, gelatinous clusters of bacteria and yeast, it ferments milk into a fizzy, probiotic-rich drink that's more potent than yogurt in both flavor and function. I remember the first time I made it. I left it overnight, unsure what to expect, and by morning, the kitchen smelled like a dairy volcano. But once I strained it, chilled it, and took that first sip, it was addictive, lightly tart, slightly effervescent, and full of energy. Studies show kefir can contain over 30 different strains of beneficial microbes, some of which can actually colonize the gut and strengthen the intestinal barrier. After drinking it daily for a week, my digestion felt smoother, my skin cleared up, and my energy no longer crashed after lunch. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Because number 3 is where things take a darker turn. It's called kombucha, a fermented tea that's taken over health stores and social media feeds everywhere. It's made by mixing black or green tea with sugar and then adding something called a SCOBY, short for symbiotic culture of bacteria and yeast. It looks like a jellyfish floating in a jar, alive and slightly alien. Over the course of a week or two, the SCOBY consumes the sugar and transforms the tea into something tangy, sparkling, and packed with organic acids. Sounds amazing, right? But here's why scientists avoid it, or, more accurately, why they treat it with caution. Unlike yogurt or kefir, kombucha fermentation is hard to control. The same bacteria that make it healthy can also go rogue if your jar isn't clean, if your pH isn't low enough, or if the temperature spikes. Some batches have been found to contain traces of alcohol, mold, or acetic acid levels high enough to cause nausea or tooth enamel erosion. In rare cases, contaminated kombucha has even led to infections in people with weakened immune systems. Still, that doesn't make it dangerous for everyone, it just means it's alive, unpredictable, and demands respect. When done right, kombucha delivers polyphenols, antioxidants, and a beautiful dance of bacteria like Gluconeocetobacter and Saccharomyces. I still remember my first batch. It fizzed like champagne when I opened it, and it tasted like apple cider met iced tea. I just learned to treat it like a wild animal. Fascinating, but not to be taken lightly. After that near miss, I dove into safer territory again. Number 4 on my list was sauerkraut, fermented cabbage, salt, and thyme. That's it. 3 ingredients, 1 transformation. The first day, it's just crunchy cabbage. The next day, small bubbles form. By day 5, the jar hisses when you open it, releasing a sharp, sour aroma that could wake the dead. Inside that jar, Lactobacillus plantarum is quietly building a microbial fortress, one that can enhance digestion, reduce inflammation, and even support the immune system. A spoonful a day felt like a probiotic shot made by nature herself. Then came number 5, kimchi, sauerkraut's fiery Korean cousin. Made with Napa cabbage, garlic, ginger, chili, and sometimes fish sauce, kimchi doesn't just feed your gut, it awakens your senses. The mix of spice, salt, and fermentation produces lactic acid bacteria that thrive on the very edges of flavor. What's fascinating is how kimchi adapts to its environment. The bacteria change depending on the season, the salt content, even the kitchen it's made in. When I started making it at home, I noticed something strange. The same recipe never tasted the same twice. One batch would be mild and savory, the next, tangy and electric. It's as if each jar had its own personality. By this point, I realized something profound. Fermentation isn't just cooking, it's collaboration. You don't control the process, you guide it. You create the right conditions, then step back and let nature work. That's why fermented foods are alive in every sense of the word. They're still evolving even after you close the lid. Number 6 was a discovery from the Japanese countryside, miso, a fermented paste made from soybeans, salt, and a special fungus called koji. The process takes months, sometimes years. I opened my first jar after 8 weeks, and the aroma that escaped was unlike anything else, earthy, deep, and slightly sweet. Miso isn't just flavor, it's chemistry. It contains peptides and enzymes that help break down proteins and promote healthy digestion. Ancient monks believed miso could heal the gut before the mind, and now modern science is catching up. Researchers at Kyoto University found that miso's fermentation process produces compounds that may protect intestinal walls from oxidative stress. When stirred into warm broth, it becomes more than food, it becomes a daily ritual of balance. Then came tempeh, number 7. At first, it looked intimidating, a dense, white block of soybeans covered in fuzzy mycelium. But that's exactly what makes it extraordinary. Tempeh originated in Indonesia centuries ago, and unlike tofu, it's made by fermenting whole soybeans with a fungus called Rhizopus oligosporus. During fermentation, the soy proteins and fibers transform, becoming easier to digest and more nutrient-rich. Scientists have measured up to double the bioavailability of iron and zinc in fermented tempeh compared to plain soy. The first time I fried it, it sizzled and released a nutty aroma that filled the kitchen. The taste was firm, hearty, and alive, somehow more real than anything that came out of a supermarket package. Number 8 brought me back to simplicity. Pickled carrots and turnips, the kind my grandmother used to make. Only this time, I didn't use vinegar. Just water, sea salt, and patience. Within a few days, the brine turned cloudy, the vegetables softened slightly, and the smell changed from raw to tangy. That cloudiness? It's life. It means lactic acid bacteria have colonized the jar, lowering the pH and protecting the vegetables from spoilage. The result is a probiotic-rich snack that costs almost nothing but feels like medicine. Every culture has its own version. Latin America has curtido, the Middle East has torshi, and Eastern Europe has kvass. All built on the same microbial magic. Then there was number 9. Apple cider vinegar. With the mother. At first glance, it's just vinegar with brown strands floating at the bottom. But that, mother, is a mix of cellulose and beneficial bacteria, mostly Acetobacter species. When unfiltered and raw, it's not only a natural preservative but also a mild prebiotic that can support beneficial gut bacteria. Some people mix a tablespoon with water before meals to aid digestion, though moderation is key. The acidity is strong enough to challenge even healthy enamel. I used it instead as a dressing base, blending it with olive oil and honey. The flavor was vibrant, alive, almost electric. Finally, number 10. Sourdough bread. The most poetic ferment of all. It's not made in jars or bottles but in the open air, using wild yeast and bacteria that live all around us. The starter is like a pet you have to feed daily with flour and water. It bubbles, it breathes, and if you ignore it, it sulks. But when you nurture it, it rewards you with bread that tastes of time and patience. The fermentation process breaks down gluten and phytic acid, making sourdough easier to digest than commercial breads. I remember the first loaf I baked, the crust cracked like stone, and the smell of toasted grain filled every corner of the house. That first slice, warm with butter, felt like eating sunlight. By the time I finished all 10 ferments, something unexpected happened. My body felt quiet. The bloating disappeared, my skin looked clearer, and my mood stabilized in a way I couldn't explain. I didn't change my diet much, only the life within it. It was as if my gut, once chaotic and inflamed, had finally found harmony again. And it wasn't just me. I started reading stories from people all over the world, engineers, teachers, parents. Each one describing the same transformation: better digestion, deeper sleep, lighter energy. Science explains it like this: your gut microbiome contains over 100 trillion organisms that help regulate immunity, hormones, and even emotions. When you feed them fermented foods, you're not just adding probiotics. You're sending an entire orchestra of living signals that influence everything from serotonin production to inflammation control. Fermentation also creates short-chain fatty acids, like butyrate, that literally nourish the cells of your intestinal lining. That's why ancient cultures never called these foods supplements, they called them staples. But there's a warning woven through this story. Fermentation is alive, and like any living thing, it can go wrong. Dirty jars, too much sugar, not enough salt, small mistakes can allow harmful microbes to sneak in. That's why scientists say to avoid certain ferments like kombucha unless you understand the process. It's not fear, it's respect. Just like fire can cook your meal or burn your house, fermentation can heal or harm depending on how you handle it. So how do you start safely? Begin small. 1 jar. 1 ferment. Maybe a batch of sauerkraut or yogurt. Keep everything clean, sterilize the jars, use non-metal utensils, and don't rush the process. The magic happens in silence, over days and nights, as nature does its work unseen. When bubbles appear, don't panic. That's proof of life. When the smell sharpens, it's the song of your microbes celebrating victory over decay. I think that's the beauty of it. In a world obsessed with killing germs, fermentation reminds us that not all microbes are enemies. Some are partners, tiny architects rebuilding our health from the inside out. After a few months of living with jars of life on my kitchen counter, I noticed something else. I had stopped craving processed snacks. My taste buds changed. I started wanting real food again, things that crunch, fizz, and smell slightly wild. It's like my body remembered something ancient. Sometimes I imagine those early humans, thousands of years ago, discovering fermentation by accident. A forgotten bowl of milk turning into yogurt. A jar of cabbage left through the winter, transformed into sauerkraut. Maybe they thought it was spoiled, until they tasted it and realized it made them feel stronger. That moment, I think, was the birth of gut health. And here we are, rediscovering it after centuries of sterilizing our world. So if you've made it this far, consider this your sign. Don't wait for perfect equipment or a fancy kitchen. Just pick one food, one jar, and start. The first time you hear that soft fizz when you open the lid, you'll know something incredible has begun. Not just in your jar, but inside you. And remember number 3, the one scientists avoid. Maybe they don't truly avoid it. Maybe they just understand its power. Because anything that alive demands respect. So here's my challenge for you. This week, create one ferment. Yogurt, sauerkraut, kefir, anything. Label it with today's date and watch it change every day. Smell it, taste it, listen to it. You'll be surprised how much you can learn from something so small. And if you feel brave, share your results in the comments below. Let's bring these ancient foods back to life, one kitchen at a time. Because in a world full of artificial solutions, sometimes the answer isn't in a pill or a powder, it's in a jar quietly bubbling on your countertop. So go ahead. Open that jar. Taste the living world. Because the secret to healing your gut might already be growing right in front of you.